So, the topic I will be presenting today is diabetes in the valley. So, here in our region, diabetes is running rampant. It is much higher in the Rio Grande Valley than it is on the rest of Texas. This is a big deal because diabetes is a very deadly disease and it is one that plagues a high percentage of people in our area. The percentage varies by county, but Willacy finds itself on top of 35% of the population, which is a very large number. And the other counties in the area also have large numbers. This is something that we must take into accounting. This is something that we must consider because this is an epidemic. It is classified as so, and it is noticeable that not only is diabetes more prominent in the valley than it is in the rest of Texas, but so is poverty and the fact that a lot of people don't have access to healthcare. 25% of Texas is underinsured, and it is suspected that in the valley that rate is much higher. Under my assessment, there's two things that are to be considered the most. Firstly is the concept of diabetes and how prominent it is in the region, and secondly, how there is wealth inequality in our region and how people don't have access to healthcare. Understanding the statistics here is important. So when analyzing diabetes, particularly in the Rio Grande Valley, we know that the rate of diabetes in the valley is 20% higher average than the rest of Texas. We also know that out of the valley's residents, 1 out of every 3 people have diabetes. It's a lot of people. According to the Texas Tribune, the number of adult Texans with diabetes, and this is a direct quote, is expected to quadruple over the next 3 decades, which is a massive spike that demographers and healthcare experts attribute to the state's aging population and out-of-control obesity problem. I want to make an emphasis on this out-of-control obesity problem because my solution emerges from an attack on that specific quotation. Transitioning to my second point, something to address is that the people in the valley, in perspective, are marginally more poor than in the rest of Texas. And they also have less access to healthcare. And this has to do a lot with our failing healthcare system here in the United States, but that is a different subject. When addressing the diabetes epidemic in the Rio Grande Valley, we have to focus on our attention on the issue of diabetes, but also on the fact that people do not have access to the healthcare they need and the resources they need. So this is where my solution is born. It is born from the fact that the diabetes epidemic exists and that it is obesity driven, right? So we're going to tackle obesity, and also we're understanding of the lack of resources that people generally have, and we're trying to incorporate this as a two-sided, two-way solution. So the solution is that we would lobby and organize a type of response to this epidemic. So we could lobby a sugar tax into our region, and this could be done through lobbying, the politicians of the area and starting a type of awareness project so people can know what is going on and how we can prevent it. And this sugar tax is important because it has been proven in other areas of the world that the sugar tax works. That if you put, for example, 20% increase of prices through a tax on sugary drinks, specifically sugary drinks, that 20% less rate the diabetes will be seen in that area. So sugary drinks are a leading cause of these issues. So that is something that we could implement this solution on, and people could react, the market would react as well, and there would be more consciousness in the area of what these sugary drinks do to you and why this is being done. The second part, as I was referring to earlier, would be addressing the issue and what we do with the tax money that we receive, the revenue. So my proposals would be, with this revenue, would be to firstly incorporate a funded, right? So with experts, with maybe videos, like something really well done into the educational system so we can teach kids that sugar in excess is bad. and that it can be really unhealthy, and that it can be very damaging, and it can lead to diabetes, which is what we're seeing in the RGV. So with the tax money, we fund an educational program. Secondly, if this fund grows to be high enough, then we can allocate some of that money to help low-income people, because in the RGV there's more low-income people, and those people also have diabetes. So funds to be able to help them get the healthcare that they need, the recommendation, also the education and the resources they could need to be able to heal. So my conclusion is that there is this problem that we're conscious about in the valley, which is diabetes. There's an epidemic. It's bigger here than in other areas. But the solution would be to implement a sugar tax and use those revenues for a greater good, for rolling the cause, giving it more momentum, and so people can create consciousness, and that just elevates people's way of thinking, and it helps everybody. Thank you.